Good morning and welcome to P&B Morning Show, your trusted platform where politics meets business and national conversation shape the day. Nigeria stands at a critical intersection from the corridors of power in Abuja to the marketplaces across our states. Decisions made today are directly impacting the cost of living, investor confidence, job creation, and ultimately the stability of our democracy. The big question is no longer whether reforms are necessary, it is whether they are working for the ordinary Nigerian. As government pushes economic adjustment and anti-corruption efforts, citizens are asking tough questions about accountability, transparency, and fairness. Are policies translating into real opportunities? Is the business environment becoming more predictable? And are our institutions strong enough to withstand political pressure? This morning, we break it all down, the policies, the politics, and the economic realities behind the headlines. We bring you clarity, context, and credible conversations that matter. I'm glad you are with us. This is P&B Morning Show. Let's get started. My name is Omike Joseph Matthew. And as always, I have my partner in the building, Chidi Kenneth. Good morning. It's a Monday.
Good morning, OJ.
Yes.
How was your weekend, sir?
Well, my weekend is really great. I really enjoyed my weekend.
Rice and stew, very plenty.
Very plenty.
Okay.
How about you?
As usual, I had a nice time, OJ, and Valentine was on Saturday. I'm sure you didn't forget that.
Yes, of course.
So I had a very wonderful Valentine outing, and I'm sure others too have their own Valentine outing with my daughters. Like I have daughters, so I took them out to make them feel, like young girls that they are.
Yes.
So it was a nice one.
Okay, that's really good. All right, so wherever you are, joining us this morning, we really appreciate you. We have a whole lot for you this morning. In the jiffy, we'll dive into the newspaper review for you and try to look at what the papers have in stock for us. Some of the papers anyway, and of course some talking points. And we'll be discussing some vital topics this morning in the course of this morning show. We're looking at the issue of the alleged coup plotters. So where should the alleged coup plotters stand trial? Should it be in a military court or should it be in a civilian court? So we're having someone who will be talking about this very important topic this morning. And of course, we'll be looking at Nigeria's anti-graft agencies. Are they instruments of accountability or a tools of political vendetta? Okay, so that's what we'll be looking at this morning. So your quick reaction to the two maybe topics I will be looking at this one. So what do you expect?
Well, OJ, I want to say it's timely. Timely in the sense that we've been seeing all kinds of invitations, especially when we're talking about the anti-graft agencies. We really need them to we need to understand why the arrests and invitations are always, the same pattern. Government come in and go, and then we see the same patterns. A year before elections, people have been invited, top government functionaries have been invited. And so we need to also understand, after all, we know that the anti-graft agencies are, designed to fight corruption, as it were. But, we need to understand and dive into the matter seriously so that we can understand, with our guests coming to throw more light on it, so we can understand what it's, what they really stand for. Is it just like the question, apply there, that is it an agency for political witch hunting, or is it an agency
for accountability? All right, so we'll be looking at all this this morning on the show. So let's go for a quick break. When we return, we'll dive into the review of the newspapers. Right, you welcome back to the P&B morning show right here on Politics and Business Television. And let's quickly dive into the newspaper review. Right now, we have the very first newspaper this morning coming from The Guardian. Now, The Guardian has this headline: Port users pay more as NCS recreates multiple forex regime at 7% margin. Port users pay more as Nigeria Customs Service recreates multiple forex regime at 7% margin. So the Punch newspapers, screen headline here is on the business aspect, talking about the economy.
Yes.
This morning.
You know, when you talk about the port users paying more, you know, sometimes ago, I think we're hearing the ease of doing business. And one of the ways we can get that done in Nigeria is to see how we can regulate the cost of importation. Now, you look at 4 years ago, you could buy a car you can buy for 2 million naira. You can no longer buy it for 6 million today.
Wow.
And I was discussing with a car dealer. I said, why is this car this expensive? He said the cost of clearing. You can buy it for $1,500 or maybe $1,000, but bringing it into the country and then clearing it there is as expensive as buying it. So where is the ease of doing business? And this is cause for concern. We need to decongest the ports. Why are we having one port? We have other deep waters that we can create ports to, international standard ports, so that, this ease of doing business that we really, preach about can really happen. So we need it to spread. The ports is so, congested. You see, the last time I saw a video where the 40-feet container fell on a car and somebody was inside. Luckily for that person, he survived. So these are the issues. One port at Apapa, and everybody, the whole nation's economy is lined up to that place, as long as it concerns international importation. All
right. So other stories on The Guardian this morning. Mixed reactions trail reported U.S. troops arrival amid fresh attacks. Mixed reactions trail reported U.S. troops arrival amid fresh attacks. And Tax Act, presidency faults Amaechi's claim on 25% bank deduction rule. Tax Act, presidency faults Amaechi claim on 25% bank deduction rule. We also have other stories from the Punch. From the Guardian, I beg your pardon. NLC alleges federal government planning to settle the boys for 3 trillion naira electricity subsidy. NLC alleges federal governments are planning to settle the boys with 3 trillion naira electricity subsidy. So many stories on The Guardian this morning. So looking at the issue of the confirmation that the U.S. troops arrived in Nigeria, Borno to be precise, and that they brought in some ammo for the Nigerian army. That's a kind of mixed reaction now coming from right, left, and center. Some are in support, some are not in support. So what's your take on the story?
Well, OJ is expected in the first place. Because like last week I told you, some people might say that, okay, what for US to bring 200 soldiers to us, bring in all kinds of hardware, what do they stand to gain? Nothing goes for nothing. That's the business angle of it. And I asked that question because these are huge investments. So what do they stand to gain? Secondly, more so that more people expect to see that, okay, the arrival of the U.S. troops will also, to a large extent, reduce the killings. But since they arrived, I think we've been hearing one or two, issues that has to do with kidnapping and killings here and there. So these are the mixed reactions. Mixed for and against. Some are saying, oh, wow, the Messiah has arrived. Why are we still having issues? What's going on? Hearing the fact that U.S. is landing, we know what U.S. stands for in terms of military might in the world. Some believe that, the Messiah has actually arrived and there are no more killings. But we are still seeing pockets of killings going on. And again, like I said, what do they stand to gain?
Okay.
Those troops?
All right. So for details of all these stories, please go to the newsstand and get your Guardian this morning and get all the details. So let's go to our next paper. This morning, the Nigerian Tribune is what we have next, and it has this headline: NLC demands new power sector roadmap. NLC demands new power sector roadmap. The rider calls for National Stakeholders Summit, says 10 years after privatization, Nigeria still in darkness. Queries federal government's plan to pay 3 trillion naira to Gencos. And so many riders in this story, like what the Guardian said. The headline is talking about NLC alleging to give to settle the boys with 3 trillion naira. But of course, the Tribune is taking it from a different perspective, trying to settle Gencos, that's generating companies.
From the boys to Gencos.
Also, by and large, I think the electricity, sector actually needs reform. Because
total overhaul.
Yes, 10 years after, we are still in darkness. Truth be told.
OJ, to interest you that I didn't sleep with light.
Wow. Living in an estate.
In an estate.
One of the.
I've not had light for
no estates here in Abuja.
I've not had up to 8 hours of light in 48 hours. In an estate here in Abuja where the president lives. I'm not talking of suburb. Estate. I've not had 8 hours of light. And we keep hearing billions of naira and trillions being invested in the energy sector. And I ask myself, what's going on? In fact, I'm of the opinion that states to generate their own power.
Of course, that bill has been
passed. We should do away with this
yeah.
national grid. Like someone said, I don't understand what's going on in that national grid. What stops us from having solar power energies, alternative energies in different states, and you power your state, generate your own megawatts or whatever watts you want to generate, and then power your state. Have your own independent, electric, organization or whatever that will handle, whether Genco or what they call it, or Disco, or just name it. You have your own. If Abia State has their own, and maybe Kaduna have their own, every state, then it will become very competitive. But this issue of everybody must connect to the national grid, and sometimes this grid collapses as many times as possible
because of lack of infrastructure.
Maintenance,
yes,
is another problem. Every year, particular season, especially when the rains are over, we're getting towards the dry season, January, February, then we begin to hear national grid collapsing every time. So there's need for total overhaul of the electricity sector.
All right, so that's the Tribune for you. So let's still go back to the Tribune. I think we still have some interesting headlines coming from the Tribune. Now, in politics, PDP LP missing as INEC releases Osun governorship candidates details. PDP LP missing as INEC releases Osun governor candidates details. So you'll get that story in page 22 of the Nigerian Tribune. Of course, 2027 election timetable. Electoral bill top agenda as Senate reps reconvene tomorrow. 2027 election timetable. Electoral bill top agenda as Senate reps reconvene tomorrow. All right, so let's go to our next paper. And which one do we really have now? The Punch. We have the Punch next, and the Punch has this banner headline: National Assembly moves to shift presidential poll to February 13. National Assembly moves to shift presidential poll to February 13. This is as a result of the emergency plenary to be held tomorrow. Chidi.
February 13, that was Valentine's Day, the next day, the results will be announced.
Yeah,
most likely.
That's for next year, yes.
Most likely.
Yes.
Well, let me start by saying that, it's a good one that the Senate is reconvening tomorrow to harmonize the upper chamber and the lower chamber, the greenhouse.
No, that will be happening today.
Oh, today?
Yeah, that will be happening today.
It's a good one.
Yes, but there'll be tomorrow's meeting is as a result of the 2027 election timetable. Now, recall that on Friday we looked at no, we said something concerning INEC's release of the timetable. The
Yes.
presidential election is supposed to hold, as it were, right now, February 20.
Yes.
The presidential and the National Assembly elections will be holding February 20. But according to report reaching us, and what the Punch newspaper headline is suggesting is that there will be an emergency meeting tomorrow by the Senate to look at that date, that February 20. Now, it coincided with the month of Ramadan. It is expected that by February 20 or so, our Muslim brothers and sisters will be observing Ramadan at that time. So it may not be,
and we need to respect our religious
yes.
rights.
So that's the complaint. Atiku Abubakar has had complained over the weekend, and some other notable Muslim leaders have also voiced their concern about that date. So perhaps when they
shift it forward,
now shift it forward to February 13.
Okay,
so that's the idea.
If that's the case, that is a good one, also, because we need to also respect our religious rights. If that date falls in a very sensitive, festive period, and there's need for adjustment. However, we should also understand that Nigerians are watching to understand and underscore every move made at this critical time, because this is a very sensitive period in our national lives.
Yes.
In no distant time, we will be electing a new president. Is it that the incumbent one is coming back, or another president comes in on board? So I want to urge the National Assembly to be very, very transparent, to understand that Nigerians are watching, and make sure that everything, they cross the T's and dot the I's.
And of course, trying to look at the date. INEC said whatever the National Assembly decides on that issue, they would definitely abide by it. So February 13, according to experts, they feel that if the date is brought forward, there will be full participation by Nigerians, by those observing the Ramadan at that time, come next year. But for February 20 to be in the middle of the Ramadan, and participation for the election might be affected.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go back to the Punch and see some other stories the Punch actually have for us. We have this one. Shettima leads federal government delegation to Kano after devastating market fire. Shettima leads federal government delegation to Kano after devastating market fire. And of course, insecurity. Lawmakers split over Ndume's support for U.S. troops deployment. Lawmakers split over Ndume's support for U.S. troop deployment. Page 7 has that story. Kwankwaso returns from India trip amid U.S. sanctions threats. Kwankwaso returns from India trip amid U.S. sanctions threats. Tinubu's Adamawa visit reignites Fintiri's defection rumor. You get that in page 5. So some interesting, headlines coming from the Punch this morning. And let's quickly look at the issue of fire incidents in our country. The Kano fire incident is very, very devastating, actually.
And, and it's recurring. It's always becoming a ritual.
What could be done to avert this issue of fire in our markets? What is it? The design of the markets? Is it what could be the problem? Okay, today it's in Kano, tomorrow it might be somewhere else, and these are billions of naira being lost, whether in cash or in goods.
OJ is as simple as you have just sounded. Before these markets have been designed or built, we should consider the kind of weather we have in Kano. And we are at the peak of the dry season, where every little thing can spark up fire. This, fire inferno going on everywhere. This is the time. And everybody needs to be careful. You go to those markets, you see that the cluster is just too much. You can barely walk from one street
of the market
to the next street. Everywhere is so jam-packed. And you sometimes, when you go there, you go to some of this market, you see the way the electrification is being done.
Yes, the wiring.
The wiring. everywhere. The wires are hanging everywhere.
Generators everywhere.
Generators even, it's not even as dangerous. Just check the wiring. You see wire crossing on top of your head, just throwing it up and down. Everywhere is just not organized. We need to do proper spacing. You see the shops cluster? There is no protective measure. And what to make it worse, some of this market don't even have they don't even have what they call it?
Fire service.
Fire service. Every standard market in Nigeria is supposed to have a fire service truck. For emergency, Nigerians I don't know when we'll start.
I think it's only in this climate that we always have a situation where an entire market will burn down and there's nothing the firefighters will do about it.
There's no availability of, the structures and the amenities there to take care of them. If you build some of these markets, we keep saying change is constant, and we are not changing. We still remain constant.
I think the model of the Wuse market here in Abuja should be replicated everywhere. Like I see,
even better.
I'm not an expert, but I know the design of Wuse market, the way Wuse market is, I don't think we'll have any fire incident that can consume the entire market.
OJ, if you go to the Wuse market of today, you can see that some buildings have been, infused.
Attached now.
Yes.
And those are the problem.
You keep,
the original
the local authorities there.
A shop can get burnt, but cannot spread to the next.
OJ,
that's why I said entire. But in this case, we're having an entire market.
Some of these problems are caused by some overzealous local authority officers
in the market.
Yes.
Approving additional.
Yes, additional structures that will make the whole place look so tight. Go to Wuse market and see. The little space where one can move around and have some sense of freedom. They're already mounting structures as high as even 3-story building. And you keep wondering, why are they doing this? And you see a space that's just less than, I don't know how to call it, a meter or whatever, going for millions of naira. Somebody's cashing out with it.
Not minding the future, not minding what happens.
Not even projecting what is going to happen in the next 5-10 years. And that is when you see all this fire outbreak coming out. The air needs to saturate everywhere.
Yes.
There needs to be air moving everywhere. Space. And that's the problem, OJ. And when we keep talking as journalists, we keep looking at these things, some people, it falls on deaf ears. Some local government chairman can just come in by way of, trying to increase IGR, begin to,
impose taxes here and there.
And begin to mount structures in some markets. Tell somebody, okay, go and look at, why is this place, we can get 10 shops here. Go to area 1. Go to area 1, Gariki here. Just go behind the shopping complex and see what's going on there. So why won't we have fire outbreak? And one wire just sparks up like that.
And that is all.
And that's all.
And when this and when the fire will break out, will be in the night when no one is in the market.
I personally was involved in the one that happened at area 1. In fact, I have a friend who is a cobbler. That, he paid for OJ. I don't know how to describe that space. You can't, if you sit down there, you'll be trapped like this. Thousands of naira. Area 1 here.
Just to get a space to do business.
You can't move your hand beyond this. And they put that space, they will put like 2-3 technicians with televisions, expensive televisions, there. And just one little spark up. Everywhere,
everything can be consumed.
So these things are being, and when you ask, you see, these things are masterminded by some overzealous local authority members. I'm telling you, fact. You can go and check.
So the issue of fire incidents in our markets need to be looked into. It's not enough for all these incidents to happen and then the traders begin to call on the government, come and assist us, come to our aid and all. You see, if preventive measures are taken from
exactly,
we will not have all this.
Exactly, preventive measures rather than waiting after the fire, incident. You see top government functionaries going to pay cost a visit and donate 1 or 2 things. We should stop. I would rather prefer the preventive measure than going to visit every little thing. You see, The governor went to pay cost
visit
and then donated 10 million,
10 million,
donated 20 million.
No.
The governor should look at the structures if there's any need to demolish and reconstruct and make it up to date.
So that we don't have such visits. We don't have the presidency visiting any.
We build a standard fire service station.
Stations.
Every market has a police station to arrest people who commit crime.
Yes.
But we don't have fire service
stations. Just few markets across the country that has that.
Why not make it mandatory for shop owners to also have fire extinguishers in their shops?
You hardly find. You say it's not my portion. God will protect my shop.
Where is the God coming to protect your shop?
Nigerians.
So what happens to wisdom? What happens to the wisdom given to you by God?
But when it happens, they'll call on the government. All right. So that's the situation there, and the vice president will be in Kano to have a first-hand assessment of the market. So quickly, let's go to our next paper for a quick review, and we have the Daily Sun. Labour furious over 3 trillion naira bailout plans for power. Labour furious over 3 trillion bailout plans for power. Claims money move to settle the boys ahead of the 2027. Demands reversal of privatization. So for Labour to raise concern about this, bailout plan for the Gencos, it appears they must have had a first-hand information. They must have had first-hand information. You cannot just rule out, Labour's, claims like that. But 3 trillion naira is huge. But I know the government will say, no, they are trying to revitalize the power sector. We're trying to see, but all this while, nothing has been done. It's now. So that's why there's this suspicion of, okay, it's because of the next election and all that. So that's Labour there crying out. So let's look at other headlines very quickly before we switch to our next paper. We have this one, 2023 mistake won't repeat in 2027 OB. 2023 mistake won't repeat in 2027 OB. What mistakes actually happened in 2023 that will not be repeated in 2027?
Well, if I'm to speak on that issue, based on my personal experience, because I was, actively involved in the last 2023 election. At about 12 midnight or thereabout, the results were coming into the IREF. I was monitoring things with my friends who were, positioned at the situation room. And the results were pumping in. All of a sudden, the IRF went shut down. At about 12 midnight. And we could not transfer. I remembered in my own polling unit, I think polling unit 3 in my estate at Lokogoma, one of the estates, I don't want to mention the name. They said there's no network to transmit the results. And we have to insist. Stood there all night with the police and the coppers there. We were there with them. We locked the gates. We insisted. And lo and behold, they transmitted the results. But the same people said, and one of them said they have instructions. And I said, what's instruction? And they contradicted themselves. And we stood there. This happened in my estate. We insisted, OJ. The boys there stood their ground, held on anywhere the copper is going. The copper had, the funny thing at OJ. The core members, after election and counting results and declared results, when it was time to transmit the results, they pulled their uniform and wore mufti. So they can disappear into the crowd. One of the coppers tried to disappear into the crowd. So
that is why Peter B is saying your vote must count.
This, I am telling you, first-hand experience I had myself. And she was fished out of the crowd. Boys had to sit her down and sit down with her and say, Madam, you must transmit this thing. And that, lo and behold, she transmitted it.
So we hope that all this first-hand experience that Chidi just spoke about now that is exactly what P2B is actually saying.
These are many more.
Protect your votes.
I'm just, like I said, my personal experience I witnessed in my estate.
All right, so let's go to our next paper, maybe our last for the day. This day newspaper. Adamawa's Fintiri set up to join APC, making 30 states. Grand reception for Kano governor today. Adamawa's Fintiri set to join APC, making 30 states. Grand reception for Kano governor today. So as the president visits Adamawa, I think it will now lay to rest the rumor that Fintiri wants to join APC. You understand? So this day is concerned with that, headline.
OJ, yeah, I didn't want to laugh, but you made me laugh. Your laugh was contagious. Because when you laugh, that laugh, and it means a lot of things. That laugh in itself says it all. The president visited the state, and the next thing we are hearing that somebody spotting from one party to the next. I'm beginning to wonder what's going on. We have gradually turned into a one-party state. One party corner,
Because if out of 36 states,
you have 30.
You have 30 for the APC.
It's actually one party state, but that does not translate into votes, if I may say.
Yeah, of course.
Because sometimes, having enough governors, like a governor came up on TV and said that it will translate into votes. And they asked him how he said the governors paid his salary. And I was like, this is more or less a soft threat.
No, see, the question is,
how can you come and say,
I have a friend.
We pay the salaries?
Now, Chidi, let me tell you something. I have a friend who gave some analysis that I ponder about. He said, all the time we'll be talking about civil servants. And governors or government officials brag about it. That how many are the civil servants in Nigeria? How many are they? He said, give and take, civil servants in Nigeria, whether federal, states, or local government, they are not more than 3 million. Yes. He said they are not more than 3 million.
And not all of them have PVCs.
No, let's even assume they have PVCs. Let's even assume because they are government workers. You understand? The government will coerce them into, voting for the
candidate of their choice.
Yes. He said, give and take that government worker, whether it is the federal, state, and local government, that the entire number is no more than 3 million. And we have over 200 million Nigerians. Although these 3 million workers that he said, the figure he gave is that, okay, if you are working, definitely you cater for your family. It translates, right? Of
course.
So that is why workers are very, very important in our
So is that the structures the governors want to brag about?
So now, for that governor to say they pay government workers, how many are the workers he is paying?
One sad story about it.
And why should that now be the reason why he thinks
having more governors?
The reason why he thinks that, okay, because he's paying
salaries of workers,
so it will now translate to votes.
The sad story, the sad thing about the vote electioneering process is that you don't escort anybody to the polling unit. You don't escort anybody, OJ. It's not an open exercise. Yes. You go and you quietly, nobody sees you.
So
So how then do you determine what I and who I'm going to vote for?
Anyway, in our climb, we know it is believed that the governors actually galvanize the people because they have all the resources at their disposal to vote for a particular party or candidate.
But Nigerians are wiser now. If Nigerians
are wiser,
then bad rules does not know who is what.
Governors, jumping ship should not determine the next election.
Well, I just hope our leaders understand this, that it doesn't really translate to vote, because I had one story going on in my area. I'm from the southeast, where we have two prominent entertainers crowned as city boys.
City boys, yes.
What's it called?
The Cubanas.
The Cubanas.
The Cubana and
the Cubana chief priest.
Yeah, Chief Cubana.
Yes, they are the city boys. And some boys from the southeast came up and said, you are the city boy, but we are the village boys.
The village boys. So it's a battle between the city boys
and the village boys.
This is what we are supposed to have. For instance, I'm in the private sector, right?
Yes.
Why should can a governor coerce me to vote for a particular party?
Especially from the southeast where I come from. There's a saying in my place that let me interpret that the Igbos, we don't have king. We don't have respect for you, regardless of your wealth. If you have your money, it's for your pocket. If whatever you are, whoever you are, it's for your pocket. market. It's for you, not for me. You can't control me. That's the meaning of that Igbo, whereas that means the Igbo man is not wired to listen to you because you are this or you are what. He is independent. It's not a place where one man speaks and others listen. That's the way we are wired in the South. That's the meaning of that Igbo, whereas. So that you are a city boy or wherever you are, you doesn't mean you can force me to do what is in my mind. And that is why from 1999 to date, if you look at the votes from the Southeast, it has been blocked. The 5 southeastern states, any party they go for, whether it is PDP, Labour, they go for it. Because that is our nature. Unlike some parts of other countries where, the Emirates and what they call them, the traditional rulers have strong grip over them.
Yes.
That is not the case in my place.
Yeah, so it's all good. Let's go for a quick break. When we return, we'll surely look at other issues before we turn our attention to the very first topic of the day. This is the PNB Morning Show, reaching you live from Abuja, right here on Politics and Business Television. You're welcome back from that break. This is the P&B Morning Show, reaching you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, right here on Politics and Business Television. Of course, Chidi, let's dive into the world of sports this morning. Yes, anxiety is right now raising. Anxiety as a FIFA rules on Super Eagles petition against DR Congo. Are you aware of the DR Congo versus Nigeria?
Yes, fielding 6 players that
ineligible players, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the judgment is today. Now, FIFA is set to make their ruling today. On a petition from Nigeria against the Democratic Republic of Congo, with the Super Eagles' participation at the 2026 World Cup hanging in the balance. And the petition was filed by the Nigerian Football Federation back in December. So remember, we played the Intercontinental playoffs with DR Congo, which they won. But it was now revealed...
On penalty shootout.
Yes, on penalty shootout. Now, it was now revealed that 6 of the players, like you rightly has said earlier, are ineligible to play for the country because they have dual citizenship. Okay, and that is where the NFF is, hinging their arguments from, because the law of DR Congo stipulates that you cannot have dual citizenship.
I think it's not the law of DR Congo, it's FIFA rule.
No, FIFA rule, once you have the passport, you understand
Yes.
that if Nigeria, for instance, say, okay, you are a citizen, that does not concern FIFA. But what about our own laws? Are you supposed to have dual citizenship? Are you supposed to be a UK citizen and then a Nigerian citizen? Are you getting it now? So
Yes.
that is the premise the Nigerian Football Federation is now
It
hinging
also
on.
interests you, OJ, to know that this is the second time Nigeria is filing a petition.
Yes.
The first time it was Nigeria,
against South Africa, where points were deducted, and now against their Congo. So many are seeing this as we are trying to use the back door to go to the World Cup.
Whatever door it is, the most important thing that we need to get into the house.
Okay.
It doesn't matter whether the back door
or the front door or the open door.
Or the open door. What matters is that the law is the law.
Okay. So
the law is the law.
Yeah, the law is the law. So let's quickly look at this report and then come back from it.
The Nigerian Football Federation has confirmed it has launched an investigation into the alleged use of ineligible player by the Democratic Republic of Congo during the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers, a move that could revive Nigeria's qualification hopes for the tournament to be co-hosted by the United States, Canada and Mexico. DR Congo knocked Nigeria out of the African playoffs in November after edging the Super Eagles 4-3 on penalties in Morocco, a defeat that appeared to end Nigeria's route to the Intercontinental Playoff. The Congolese side was subsequently handed a bye into the final of the Intercontinental Playoff, where they are due to face the winner of the semi-final between New Caledonia and Jamaica. However, that position may now be under threat following concerns raised by the NFF over the eligibility of several DR Congo players who featured during the African playoffs. Reports indicate that between 6 and 9 players who switched national allegiance may not have fully met eligibility requirements under Congolese law before representing the country. While FIFA reportedly cleared the players on the grounds that they held valid DR Congo passports, the NFF argues that the players failed to formally renounce their previous citizenship, contrary to the country's constitution, which does not recognize dual nationality. An executive board member of the federation confirmed that the matter has been formally taken up. NFF General Secretary Dr. Mohamed Sanusi also confirmed that the federation has formally challenged the players' eligibility. He noted that although FIFA rules consider a player eligible once they possess a valid national passport, the federation believes FIFA was misled during the clearance process.
There are players that got theirs in just 2-3 weeks. So that is to us what we consider as a breach of that regulation. And that was why we submitted that.
So what is the hope of Nigerians? Because some people are already on the street to delay this.
We are waiting. You heard what I told you. The Congolese rule says you cannot have a dual nationality. Obisaka has a European passport. There are so many of them that have European passport. Some of them French passports. Some of them Dutch passports. So the rules are very clear. We cannot say anything now, but we have submitted our
Some are saying FIFA rule is different from DR Congo.
It's different from DR Congo. That's why FIFA cleared them. FIFA regulation says once you have a passport of your country, you are eligible.
Yes.
Now, as far as people are concerned, they are eligible, that's why they are cleared by FIFA. But our contention is FIFA was deceived into clearing them. Because it is not the responsibility of FIFA to make sure that regulations of Congo are being avoided by. The FIFA goes by its own regulations, and it was on the basis of what was presented to FIFA, it was on that basis that FIFA declared them.
The development has renewed Nigeria's hopes of qualifying for the 2026 World Cup after missing out on the 2022 edition in Qatar. DR Congo, for their part, have featured at the FIFA World Cup only once in 1974 when the country competed under the name Zaire.
All right. That was the report on the legal tussle, do I put it that way, between Nigeria and the Democratic Republic of Congo. So today is the day. What will FIFA say?
The die is cast.
And a lot of Nigerians really want to see the Super Eagles of Nigeria at the next World Cup in USA, Mexico, and Canada.
Even FIFA would like to see Nigeria, not just Nigeria.
But Nigeria should have qualified now from
OJ,
not passing through the whatever.
Well, that's your own opinion, OJ. But like I told you, was the offense committed? That's the most important thing. Is it a fact that there was, some ineligible players featured? If the law is the law, OJ, that's why this thing is a game of chance. You take your chances. Football, you take your chances. So you don't say, oh, that's why when a player is being bought from maybe Manchester United to Arsenal, and when it's time for him to score, he will not say, oh, I want to score against my former club. Oh, I love them so much. You treated me so nicely. And he will not throw the ball outside or kick it outside, over the bar. It's not done. The law is the law. So what matters is they violated the law, and FIFA will rule today. So we are very hopeful. And FIFA will be very happy to, I want to believe that FIFA may be happy to rule.
When you say FIFA will be very happy to do what? Are you now saying that? Hold on. FIFA will be happy to see Nigeria at the World Cup. Yes.
Because of anytime Nigeria is playing at the World Cup.
Looking at our rating now as a result of our performance at just concluded and the AFCON in Morocco and all that, the way the Super Eagles played very, very well, entertained the world.
And the high patronage from Nigerians in diaspora.
Yes. So you seeing a brand like the Super Eagles at the next World Cup.
I'm happy you call it a brand.
Yes, no, of course it's a brand. We all know that. It's a solid brand, and at the next World Cup will be a very good team for FIFA.
Yes.
And you understand.
Because the World Cup itself is business.
Yes, but we hope that FIFA will not base their judgment on that. Because we need this brand in this.
No. That's not what I'm saying, OG. That's not what I'm saying.
I'm only saying want justice to be done, and should be done fairly, because tomorrow deal. We don't want a situation where tomorrow now the references will be made.
If the justice there is that they will look at the issue as it were.
They look at the issue objectively and give their judgment.
If there is any infringement whatsoever,
yes,
the law will stand. That is why next time we need to be careful. It can be Nigeria tomorrow.
Yes. We
need to be careful. There's no sentiment in these things. The law is the law. It's what it is. So if DR Congo, South Africa did theirs, and
they were punished.
Yes. They were punished. So DR Congo should have learned from South Africa and prevent it from happening. I'm not saying they committed it. I'm not FIFA. I'm not FIFA. But if FIFA look into the matter with all the merits and demerits and found them guilty, there's nothing we can do.
All right. If that happens, it means that Nigeria will be replacing DR Congo in the intercontinental playoffs to be played in March. That's next month, where of course we have Bolivia and Jamaica, and so it will be an easy ride. Some are saying that for Nigeria not to beat DR Congo during the CAF playoffs, that it's a disaster. From all indication, the opponents that either DR Congo or maybe the Super Eagles will be meeting there are not an opponent that should stop even DR Congo.
I want to disagree. I want to disagree with this is football, OJ.
No, we know, but the opponents, no, they are not strong enough to stop. So which
of the opponents are you talking about?
The opponents that whoever, like DR Congo, for instance, will play a match next day to determine the ticket for the World Cup.
You mean Jamaica and Bolivia?
And Bolivia. They are not DR Congo. If it is DR Congo definitely beat one of them. Just one of them. Any of them that wins each other will play. I mean, the DR Congo will play them. Or if the judgment favors the Super Eagles today, that it is Super Eagles that will play that opponent.
Are they also a match for Super Eagles?
Yeah. They are not a match now. Come on.
Oh, I can see this confidence.
They are not a match.
I can see this confidence.
If the judgment favors Super Eagles today, be rest assured the Super Eagles will definitely be at the World Cup. Because I know if the judgment does not favor Super Eagles today, DR Congo definitely be at the next World Cup. So that, you understand.
Excuse
So it will be that. Then that will mean that Africa will have 10 teams at the World Cup. That's a good thing. For the first time, we're having
And I
10
hope that will
teams.
translate into us at least getting to the finals.
Finals and winning the World Cup.
Just like Morocco got to the semi-finals and
yes,
they came out fourth place.
Yes. All right. So that's the situation with the expected judgment by FIFA today concerning Nigeria's petition against the Democratic Republic of Congo. Let's go for a quick break. We'll be right back.
Have to be used to fast.
All right, so you're welcome back to the P&B morning show right here on Politics and Business Television. Let's quickly look at our very first topic this morning. Like you have, seen from the break there, the issue of where should the alleged coup plotters be tried? Where should alleged coup plotters stand trial is what we are looking at right away. There are indications that the federal government is undecided on the mode of trial for the officers alleged to have plotted a coup against President Bola Tinubu. Now, we gathered that the federal government has not given instructions on whether the suspect should be court-martialed or arraigned in a regular court. According to credible sources, the confusion stems from concerns that the offense was committed under a democratic government and not in a military administration, where erring officers could have been arraigned in military courts. Now, in October 2025, the military arrested 16 senior officers, including one brigadier general, a naval officer, and Air Force personnel. But the authority denied that it had something to do with the coup plot. However, the defense headquarters on January 26 this year admitted that the officers were indeed arrested for their involvement in a coup plot. The defense headquarters director of defense information, Major General Sumaila Uba, said the suspects will be arraigned before relevant military judicial panels to face trial in line with the Armed Forces Act and other applicable service regulations. Apart from the military officers, about 24 other suspects were arrested in connection with the plan to topple Tinubu's administration. However, since the presentation of the report, the military has remained silent on the trial of the suspects. So we are asking this morning, where should the alleged coup plotters stand trial? So it's a debate right now, and there are those who are saying they should be court-martialed. There are those who are saying that they should be tried in a civilian court. So Chidi, while we wait for our guest who will shed more light on this very important topic this morning, what's your take? Now, the government has agreed, or have agreed that yes, some officers and some civilians tried to topple the current administration last year, and initially they denied. Well, now they have accepted. So, from your own perspective as a concerned citizen, what should be the right treatment to this alleged coup plotters?
All right, OJ, a quick one there. Coup plotting, or what we call coup d'etat, as it were, in the military regime, has been something that has been very, very bloody, ranging from the times of Agu Ironsi in 1966 down to Murtala Mohammed, who I think was rated one of the bloodiest of all the coup plots that led to the loss of life of the president. Murtala Mohammed. And so I know that coup was also, masterminded by Brigadier General Ilya, in 1976. And it was countered by Olusegun Obasanjo. And that was how Obasanjo now ruled to 79, before we now ushered in, Shehu Shagari, August 1st. Now, after then, we've had a series of coups too. The likes of, that happened when General Babangida was in power. Mamman Vasa and the rest of them. We have the Gideon Oka.
The Oka coup.
The Oka coup and the rest of them.
Even Babangida himself came through coup.
Yes.
He toppled the late Muhammadu Buhari.
No, and you see, we had different kinds of coup. We have the one that has involved, shed of blood and killings, and the one that has been so silent and tactical.
What we call the palace coup.
The palace coup of Gideon Oka, that, was adjudged one of the best and most brilliant coups that happened in Nigeria.
You call it coup brilliant?
Brilliant in the sense that, I think, when I use the word brilliant, in the sense that there was no bloodshed. It was so quiet. Okay,
not like the...
Yeah, it was not brutal.
The 1976 coup that you mentioned.
And ever since then, the firing squad has been a way of melting justice within the circles of the military. But now we have seen coup now against a civilian president, and no one has succeeded so far. Like you said earlier on, there were denials. Now let me go to the history of firing squad. There's a lot of countries are beginning to drift away from firing squad.
The penalty.
Yes, the penalties. Countries like in 1921 we have Sierra Leone in Africa. They abolished it. In 1922 we have the Central Republic of Africa, African country. They abolished it. Then in 1923 Zambia joined. But Nigeria is still, trying to manage it. And in 2015, the Criminal Justice Act came out and said, okay, instead of firing them, we're going to use firing squad. We should inject them with, some form of dangerous injections or death by hanging. And this has been the order of the day. There was a case, where, Aladi Odia, was it the second in command to Abacha? Had an attempt, yes,
attempted coup during the Abacha,
a failed coup, and it was not sentenced to firing squad. That was when Nigeria started, some of our leaders started, applying some form of, approach to that instead of firing, that they should try him with normal court and then sentence him to life imprisonment or hanging before Abacha died. Now, what if you ask me what's my take? I would say because it involves the removal of a civilian president, because we've had other coups, like in Burkina Faso, where the presidents were not killed. Because when you say coup, within the context of the military, it involves killing. And that is why sometimes it's an eye for an eye kind of approach. You kill, you get killed. But here, we've not seen anybody being killed. And that is why I want to recommend personally that we try them in a civil court. Because it's so far so good. So many coups have been attempted to so many civilian presidents. Even Obasanjo and the rest of them have some silent attempted coups that were, quietly handled. So I want to recommend that these coup plotters should be tried in a civil court to serve as a deterrent, probably sentence them to life imprisonment. That would be a better way. At least they'll have the second chance to do a rethink of their actions and probably repent of their ways. But the act of this act of trying to kill outrightly by way of firing squad, I think the world is drifting gradually from that. And a lot of civil societies, a lot of international conventions, a lot of international human rights groups are beginning to kick against it. That no, this killing of people who get involved in all kinds of coup should not be adopted. It should be abolished, and people should use other alternatives, which is called the civil courts. And I think I want to align myself with that.
Okay, now a human rights lawyer and senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, said that any decision by a military panel would be nullified if the government proceeded with a court-martial for the suspected coup plotter. So he is suggesting that, like you rightly said, that these coup plotters should be tried in a federal high court rather than a military court, because
rather than be court-martialed.
Yeah, because if they are tried in a military court, definitely they'll be court-martialed. And he's saying that if that is done, and the coup plotters appeal the judgment, then of course the judgment will be rescinded by a federal high court, because the military court is not known by the law. We are operating in a democratic system right now. So it is better the government takes the right decision by trying them in a civilian court. And of course, it is the federal high court where their fate will be decided. And once whatever judgment that comes there will be binding. But if you go ahead with the military way of doing things for these officers,
military tribunals.
Yes, military tribunals and whatever. And the law of the military is that, okay, first, if you are a coup plotter, you will be...
It's a treasonable offense.
It's a treasonable offense, you'll be court-martialed. And if they are court-martialed, then they can appeal, because they may say they are not guilty. They didn't do it. You expect that from them, right? So by the time they go to the federal high court, of course, the federal high court or the civilian court will definitely hear their case.
Because, I think the issue of...
So is this issue of confusion now, from the report we are hearing, the presidency is thinking, okay, what should we do? What should we do? Now, if we say, okay, let's take these people to the civilian court, okay, how about the military rule on these officers? Because they are first thing first, they are binded by the military laws. Because
rules of engagement.
Yes, before joining the military, you took an oath, the military oath. Okay, you understand that?
Yes.
You will obey orders, you will do this, if you do this.
You pay the supreme price.
Yeah, you pay the supreme price. Okay, now, so should we give the go ahead and say, okay, military, try your people? And so this is the confusion.
OJ, it's like you said, confusion. It's controversial in the sense that when you try them in a civil court, we understand how the civil court operates. From the high court, you appeal, you go to the appeal court, the appellate court, but the court where we call the court of the wise. From there to Supreme Court, it can take as long as what I don't know. It depends on them how. The
most important thing is justice should be done at the end.
It takes a longer time. But when you go to the military,
court,
military courts, or call it tribunal, it's a very short time of 3 months. And you said something about being guilty or not guilty. In the military courts, there's nothing like you are not guilty, because you are being tried before intelligent officers that have evidences to show. They don't, it's clear. It's as clear as black and white. When you see someone, discussing about, planning a coup or whatever, the military court says it the way it is. Unlike the, civil court where somebody will be looking at the television, like the one we saw at the last 2023 election. So they asked one of the INEC officials, are you not the one talking on the television. He said, no, it was, somebody can say it's AI. You know, we have seen issues where somebody's being caught on camera doing one or two things, and he will say, no, the media men will come out and say it's AI. These are the free grounds, and, you know, these are the opportunities that you get when you are being tried in a civil court. And the military is not a civil organization. It's not a civil, like you said. There are rules guiding you before you join. Somebody said the day you buy the military form, your family has buried you. Your family have sold you out to government. That is why when you die at the war front, so when a military man dies at the war front, they don't bring him back to go and say they want to bury him in the village and perform all those kinds of village rites and traditional rites. No, there and then the military takes you to the military cemetery and then you are buried there, and that's all. And life goes on. So the military is not a civil organization. It's not. However, because of different concerns, international concerns, and, you know, the world is beginning to get better, beginning to understand the sanctity of human lives. The sanctity of human lives. So we're beginning to see, okay, some people should be given the opportunity to prove their innocence, because not everybody involved in a military coup. You know, they say the hearer, the doer, and the passerby. They are all guilty of the same crime. Now, some of the passerbys who heard by way of passing, strolling past where the discussion.
And that brings the issue of, you know, the civilians that were arrested. 46 of them.
That's why I said the hearer, the doer, and the passerby. They are all guilty of the same crime. No, the civil court affords the opportunity to measure these crimes based on their degrees of participation. OJ, if there's a difference between you cocking the gun to shoot and someone that just went to say, someone that wants to buy maybe something or the other, someone that just, you know, passed, you know, attended or was sent on an errand, maybe a sergeant or a corporal that went on an errand. He was not part of you know, than those that were really involved in the shooting. But the civilian courts afford the opportunity to dissect these crimes based on the degree
of participation.
So, and punishments will be melted based on that level of participation. But the military tribunal does not give you that opportunity.
And that brings the issue. Okay, if the presidency should decide that, okay, the military should try those officers involved in the
Including the civilians.
How about the civilians? Would the civilians be tried separately? Would they be tried in the same military courts, or?
Well, so there's a saying that goes, what happens in London should stay in London. What happens in the military should stay.
I think this is the dilemma of the whole situation.
Yes,
right
OJ,
now.
it is.
Because you have some civilians who are allegedly involved here.
That is why it's going to be a combination of both the military courts and the civilian courts. Like I said earlier, people should be tried based on their degree of participation.
But they've stayed too long in detention. They've been in detention since October. And the more the presidency continues to be indecisive with their decision on which way to go, the more their fundamental human right is being infringed, whether we like it or not, whether they are guilty or not. Well, it's been a while. It's been a while now.
Yes, it's because it's a matter of national interest.
National interest, will you keep them there forever?
National interest, and it poses a threat to national security as well. But I want to believe that if we have repentant Boko Haram that is being forgiven and reinstated into the society, and this is what I call democratic coup. Democratic coup.
Are you suggesting they should be forgiven? Well,
if you can, I'm not suggesting, I'm saying that if someone who picked up a gun to kill innocent citizens, tell me, what did they do? What did those people do? What did they do in their village? Somebody just came with guns and killed people.
Don't you think this is a separate scenario? Yes, these are terrorists. These are 7 military.
That is why
these are 7 military officers who may have deviated.
I call it civil coup. Coup on the citizens of a country. Defenseless women and children killed for doing nothing.
But in this case,
and such person is arrested after being tried. After a while, he's being pardoned. OJ, what do you make of that?
But it is in the laws that as a military officer, thou shalt not be involved in coup. It is there. Right? You understand? Thou shalt not topple
It is also
a
in the
sitting
law.
government.
Yes, it's also in the law that he that killed by the gun should die by the gun. You should kill, murder. It should be melted with capital punishment. We're not talking of murder by suspicion, outright murder. You come into a community, kidnap people and get them killed, raped, messed up, and you are caught. OJ, visit the court and see what goes on. You see people being sentenced to death for committing such high-profile murder. And here we have some people under the disguise of some terrorist group, they call themselves bandits or whatever they call themselves, going into a community, pick defenseless people, harmless people, living their lives, farmers, kill them, and you are caught, and after a while they say you've been forgiven and reinstated back into the society.
Okay, so
if the government can do that, then I believe too, the civilians that were arrested, the 46 civilians you're talking about,
yes,
should also be pardoned after a while.
After a while, but they've not been tried yet. So
I'm just projecting.
Yeah, so we should know the level of their punishment before, maybe, because the families are already talking. The families are already talking because they've been in detention for so long. I do even report has it that a Nollywood actor is even part of those people. You begin to ask yourself,
was he going there to act or something?
Maybe
was he giving a script?
Maybe PR or something. It was if the report is anything to go by, if he's involved, for instance, there's a role he wants to play. If the situation had succeeded, maybe there's a role he will play in the government, of course.
Well, I can imagine that role, OJ.
So, but why should some military personnel at this point in time, at this day and age, be thinking of toppling a civilian government? Nigeria, as a big nation as we are.
This was the same statement the former CDS General Musa said.
Yes.
He said, from the rank of a colonel, what are you doing with a coup? You understand? It calls for serious concern as well. Why would you want to topple a democratically elected government?
After 20-something years of
a government on transit by law, as enshrined in the Constitution, you like it or not, 4 years you either leave or you are given a second term. No matter how high-handed you are as a leader, as a civilian leader.
It's not more than 8 years.
It's not more than 8 years. So what's the need for the coup? These are questions we should be asking. What's the need? A military president can sit as long as he wants to sit, because they don't operate with the Constitution. They operate by decree. So he can come up tomorrow and say, fellow Nigerians, I hereby extend my tenure, and it stands. But that is not the case in an elected civilian president. So why the coup? And that's really cause for concern, OJ.
So, well, okay, see, since the alleged offense occurred under a democratic government, does that automatically make it a matter of civilian court? And I think that's the debate, that's what we've been discussing on this. I would have loved to have a legal practitioner who will, of course, dissect this for us. We've been expecting our guest. Unfortunately, he's not yet here. We hope to, have him before the end of the show to actually look at all these for us. And so, going forward, what should the military now do to make sure that this kind of news does not come up again from that institution?
I think my own take on what the military should do is to find a way to, work on the orientation of the military officers. Let them see the need why these things are not necessary. Democracy have come to stay, and it has come to stay. The military officers should understand that we are no longer going back, even though we have some countries in Africa trying to, that has toppled civilian governments and, run with the military government, like the likes of Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso, even though he's doing very well, according to what we are hearing. But that doesn't negate the fact that democracy has come to stay, and it has come to stay. And my advice for our civilian leaders too is to also see how they can give the people the dividends of democracy. Some of this coup is as a result of poor governance. You see certain things that is going on, how people will sit down and begin to enact laws that are not favorable to the people. And this, we are human beings, OJ. A military officer, regardless of the uniform, is also a human being.
But even at that, we've had instances of military interventions in Nigeria, and what do they bring? Is it now that a military regime will change the lives of Nigerians? So
No. We don't need it.
For 16 years, the military has ruled. And the problem we are even having today, if you want to look at it holistically, it definitely be traced to the military regime.
Of course, I agree with you.
You understand? So is that not cowardice on the part of these military guys to think that they will be the messiah at the end of the day, if indeed they are actually involved in this act?
That was why I said, no matter how Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso seems to be doing well, according to what we're hearing, a military regime is a no-no. And I still stand my ground that there is no need for anybody to get himself involved in a coup. Because the civilian government is a government on transit, for crying out loud. Why the coup? For what? What are you planning the coup for? If a president is sitting down there and is not performing according to you, wait for another 4 years. In every 4 years, somebody is turning 18. A child that was 14, the 4 years, they will turn 18. And he's going to get his PVC. So why, instead of doing that, we should do more orientations and try to make the military officers to understand that democracy has come to stay. It's a government for the people, by the people, and for the people, not the military. Military should, and that's why sometimes I wonder, you see military men now owning big estates, and allegedly, military men living in highbrow areas in the cities. Those days, before you see a uniform man, OJ, when you see a uniform man on the street, you can be looking at him for 30 minutes. It's strange.
Because they are scarce.
They're scarce. You just see a minute. Today you see a military man in the normal civil markets. The militaries have their own markets. They call it the Mami markets. But these days you go to a normal shopping complex, you see military officers everywhere. That uniform in itself is enough assault. It's scary enough when you see the camo. Those days you see a soldier moving, but now we see soldiers everywhere. Soldiers even performing civil duties. Somebody will tell you, my brother is a soldier, I will call my brother for you. And the soldier will remove his badge and travel from here to an estate to beat up somebody. I have also had such kind of threat before, where somebody misbehaved at the gate when we were calling for facility receipt in my estate. And the woman came to the gate and she was, shouting, insulting everybody. And we told her, madam, your receipt has expired. Go and pay. And because her husband was a colonel, she called her husband, and the husband sent
the boys.
And when they called me on phone, I said, you harassed Oga's wife. And I introduced myself. I said, this is who I am. I'm a journalist. So the military man became calm. And I asked myself, so if I was not a journalist, what would have happened? They would have just messed me up. And I said, I'm a journalist. This is who I am. This is who I am. And I showed them my ID card. And they said, guys said, okay, so sorry. Okay, what happened? The first time he came with this approach of thinking he was coming to banter and malhandle. And this, and when I introduced myself, he said, okay, okay, what happened, sir? And I told him what happened, that the woman came and was insulting anybody. We didn't touch her. We only told her to go back and pay. There is nobody that is above the law here. This is a bylaw guarding the estate. And you must pay. And that was how this matter was settled. And I asked myself, these are the things we see under military regime. People just get beaten, violating human rights for little things, offenses that you need to, no investigation. So if I was not a journalist, I would have been beaten, OJ.
All right, so we thank God that that actually didn't happen. So by and large, we just hope that the presidency will take that decisive decision now and decide where these alleged coup plotters will be tried.
Hopefully,
because the more they continue to stay in detention, the more their rights, their fundamental human rights, is being infringed. And as a democratic society, as we are right now, we shouldn't, be accused of, such thing. Yes, what they are alleged to have done is a grave offense. But of course, we should do the right thing. We should set the example for other African countries that we surely do things the way they are supposed to be done. So the presidency should, as a matter of urgency, decide on the fate of the alleged coup plotters, whether it is the officers or the civilians involved in this matter. Let's go for a very quick break, and when we return, we'll continue with more right here on the P&B Morning Show. Right, welcome back to the P&B Morning Show right here on Politics and Business Television. Up next, of course, we'll be looking at our next topic. We're talking about the issue of accountability. Our anti-graft agencies, what are they meant for? Are they meant for accountability or to crack down on opposition? So we'll be looking at that this morning. So we turn the spotlight on a question that strikes at the very heart of Nigeria's democracy. Are our anti-graft agencies truly instruments of accountability, or have they become tools of political vendetta in a country where corruption has long been described as a major obstacle to development? Institutions like the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offenses Commission, ICPC, were established to promote transparency, enforce the law, and restore public trust. Now, yet, over the years, allegations have surfaced that investigations and prosecutions sometimes appear selective, raising concerns about political interference, timing, and motive. Now, are these agencies boldly holding the powerful accountable, or are they being deployed strategically in political battles? So as we examine this critical issue, we all ask, what does true independence look like for anti-corruption institutions? How do we ensure justice is blind to party lines? And most importantly, what does this mean for Nigeria's democratic future? So that's what we'll be looking at this morning. And Chidi Kenneth is still with me for us to dissect this very important topic. So, Chidi, the issue of our anti-graft agencies, of course, two notable ones, right?
Yes.
The EFCC and the
And the ICPC.
And the ICPC. Are they actually instruments of accountability, or they are tools for political vendetta? From what we are seeing in recent times, it appears to be, okay, if you are not for us, then of course we'll open the file for you. Is this what our anti-graft agencies should be like?
OJ, I think I would like to approach this issue. It's a very good one, first and foremost. And I want to say this is a very, very, very interesting topic to talk about. But let me say this before I go, that it's a controversial one as well, because it depends on the side of the divide you are looking at it, the side of the coin. Some will say, oh, when you are in power, it is the EFCC is fighting corruption. And the opposition will keep saying, oh, we're being witch hunted. But the problem, the question is this: was the crime committed? It was in the same country that somebody came out and said, when you
that is why
are forgiven.
Yes.
We know who made that statement. We are all aware. Now, so in both ways, this topic can stand on its own independently, either as a tool for witch hunting or as a tool for fighting corruption. Because either way, was the crime committed? That's the most important thing. Did you steal government money? Yes. Were you forgiven? That's left for
but we have
politics.
But even at that, we have instances where, some persons were accused of corruption, and the case dragged for donkey of years, and at the end of the day, the court freed them. But they've been tried.
Sometimes
they'll be tried, they'll be prosecuted because they are not part of
the ruling party,
the ruling government, as it were then. So, but are we supposed to be to use our anti-graft agencies for this kind of frivolous activities, because you are not in support of our regime? That therefore we know you did something. And
well, OJ, I will say yes and I will say no. Yes and no, in the sense that sometimes, like I said, whether you are being witch hunted or not, the most important thing, nobody can witch hunt an innocent person. That's the first thing you must get clear.
Okay.
Nobody can witch hunt someone with, we have a presidential candidate today in the last election that they tried to witch hunt and they couldn't see anything. I don't want to mention his name. You know who I'm talking about. They tried everything. They could not see anything. He that must come to equity must come with clean hands. If you are clean, OJ, I can't witch hunt you.
So the point we are trying to make now is that in as much as these persons are crying wolf,
yes,
are saying, we are being witch hunted.
Did they commit the crime or not?
They are not clean, right?
Some of them allegedly are not. That's the most important thing. And the ones that the government decide to forgive, that is politics. There is a political angle to the anti-graft agency, which I also agree. And there's also the fact that the crime was committed. Now, and when it comes to politics, it's a mafioso kind of game. We know that. We know how it's been played. Sometimes you use anything within your power to also get support, even though you don't come out to say it openly. I have contested in elections at the university level. And I know sometimes that, some departments that don't want to support me when it comes to certain things. These are unannounced, these are unspoken words, like I call it unspoken agreements that goes on, unwritten agreements that goes on in politics, gentlemanly agreements in principle. Now, looking at EFCC, EFCC, I think the act was created under an act in 2003.
Yes.
We have Ribadu, from Ribadu to Waziri. From Waziri, we have Lamonde, Bawal. We now have, what's his name again now? The current EFCC chairman now. I think we've heard about this is the sixth one, if I'm not mistaken, from 2003 to date. But this is the sixth one now. And I was privileged to speak to one or two EFCC officers, retired one at that, and he said that the most important thing is that according to him, there is no witch hunting.
There is no witch hunting.
Yes, that the most important thing is whether did you commit a crime. And I said, sir.
But the timing, the timing is the issue. And you understand?
Yes.
When you are trying a fellow, a particular person,
close to the electoral
yes,
period,
and
it calls for suspicion.
And that fellow is not in the ruling party. That is where, you know.
And we have those in the ruling party who are also not innocent, allegedly.
Yes, who are also not innocent, but they are not being picked up.
That's why I said a political leader came out openly and said, when you join a particular party, your sins are what? Your sins are forgiven. Now that's why they say this. That's why I say that this topic can exist both sides independently. It can, yes, is a tool for fighting corruption. And it also can be perceived allegedly as a tool for witch hunting too. Hearing such kind of comment from a top high profile politician in this country. He said it uncensored. It's all over the whole place. You know, internets never lie. Of course, you know that. So it's there. So we can see, it can be said to be true, allegedly, that it's a tool for witch hunting because, like you said, the timing, OJ, the timing. The last time we brought about the invitation of, the visa ban on Kwankwaso and the arrest attempt on El-Rufai,
the former governor of Kano State.
Governor. I did ask a question.
Of Kaduna State.
Of Kaduna State, El-Rufai. I did ask a question. Why is that when it's time for the next election, we keep seeing things like this? What happened?
Yes, there's always a drama on issue of craft.
Yes.
You understand? Let's pick
few months to election.
Few months to election. So that is
what happens the first year while you are in office. If truly you are fighting corruption, what happens? First, second, third year. Then 3 years and some months towards the end of your tenure, you begin. And sometimes the arrest is also centered mostly on the side of the opposition. Like you said, allegedly. So, I said something that we should change the way we play our politics in Nigeria. Because Nigeria is made up of so many intelligent minds. We can read the handwriting on the wall, even though you don't come out outrightly to say this is what you are doing. Okay, for example, a president goes to a state to visit the governor, and the next thing the governor defects.
And his sins will be forgiven.
The governor even defects. Now, you don't need a soothsayer to tell you that part of the discussion they had within the closed door meeting was the defection. I'd consider, you don't need a soothsayer to tell you that. Why didn't you defect until the president had to come and visit you, and after going back 1 week or 2 weeks after the visit, you can start hearing stories.
Oh, okay. Now, on the issue of the EFCC, last year, the EFCC invited some of us. I was in the headquarters of the EFCC with some notable journalists here in Abuja when the chairman, Olukayode, had a press conference with us. And in the discussion, he said something very, very important to me that today I still ponder about it. Now, it was when Yaya Bello was running away and the EFCC were chasing him.
The white lion?
The white lion of Kogi State, you understand? So that was, that was the premise why we were invited at the EFCC headquarters then to have a discussion with the chairman. And he said that, look, the business of the EFCC is to try somebody, you understand, who is allegedly involved in corruption,
financial crimes.
Yes. One thing is for them to arrest, investigate, and take them to court. Whatever the court decides about them, it's not their business anymore. But they will prove their case beyond reasonable doubt to make sure that, yes, this person did this and all that. That the issue of people saying that some of the actions are politically motivated should not even come to play. Are you getting it?
Yes.
But we can't still rule out the issue of political undertone to some of these arrests.
Because of the timing.
Yes. I think the only one that every Nigerian will agree with EFCC is that, okay, they usually arrest fraudsters, the people who call Yahoo boys.
Yes.
You understand? Where they round them up and all that. We know that those ones don't have any political affiliation. Okay? And so with that, we know that, okay. But high profile person, when it comes to a high profile person, he or she is usually an opposition person, not part of the ruling government. So going forward, what should the EFCC do? What should the ICPC do about this? That look, irrespective of your party affiliation
or your political divide.
Yes, or political divide. Once we have a case against you, we will try you. Do you think we can make EFCC such an organization?
Yes, OJ, you are very, very correct. Like I said, the way these things, the anti-graft agencies go about their duties calls for a lot of questioning. It begins to make us, because like I said, Nigerians are intelligent, for crying out loud, OJ. When your arrest is, tilting towards a particular pattern, someone will begin to ask questions. Well, we can see, we can hear, And, like I said, when a high-profile politician comes out to say, when you join a particular party, I keep emphasizing on that your sins. The question is, what is that sin? I want to urge the EFCC and the ICPC to start arresting people. You cannot tell me that the ruling party does not have those who are also guilty of financial crimes, allegedly. You can't tell me they're all clean. I want to see people, top high-profile politicians in the ruling party being arrested and invited by EFCC and ICPC.
And answer some questions.
I want to see it happening. That way we can begin to see some sense of balance.
And public confidence.
Well, I want to say it. You can't tell me, and you see, that's why you see people are defecting here and there. That is why we don't have any internal democracy anymore. Defection is more or less like, just like the politician said, if you join, your sins are forgiven. So defection is a way of repentance, as it were, allegedly. So I want to urge them. I want to also challenge the anti-graft agencies to begin to go for. Let us see 10, 15 active members of a ruling party, any ruling party, whatever, being invited and tried in the open. Let's begin to say it. Then that way we can begin to regain some form of confidence. Because the pattern and the roadmap, the way we see these things happen, is especially when a particular government tenure ends and another one comes in. That's another one we usually see. Some of the officials of the past government, even though they are both ruling parties, that were instrumental, in trying to frustrate the incoming government. You start seeing them being harassed. We all know the case of the cashless society, the cashless policy. Sorry if I forget to say, where the former governor of CBN played a very huge role in trying to frustrate the incumbent government now. Printing money, just changing the colors and the rest of them, and the money, all of a sudden, the cashless. Today, we are no longer seeing cashless. There's no cashless anywhere now. OJ, it was a very terrifying moment because that time.
In fact, let's not even go there.
I had a baby
2022,
and I had no money, no cash to pay.
2022 was really terrible. That's
today the Emefiele is now
starting trial. Okay, we call on the government and of course the EFCC to do the right thing. The ICPC, we are not just trying to single out EFCC here, but of course they are the popular institution in this case. The ICPC too is there. They should do the right thing. They should not be a tool for political vendetta. They should be,
as perceived by some Nigerians.
So they should be an institution whereby accountability is their watchword. Irrespective of party, irrespective of religion, irrespective of whatever. Once you have a question to answer, the EFCC should go for such a person. Now, before we wrap up the show very, very quickly, let's look at funding for these institutions too. Was recently the chairman Ola Olukayode has expressed concern over inadequate funding and warning that it could hamper the Commission's ability to effectively carry out its mandate. Now, out of the capital budget for them last year, only 50%, according to him, was released, and 50% of what they actually
Entire
required.
budget.
You understand? So for an organization like the EFCC to actually do their job very, very well, I think they should also be treated like INEC that is about to get
1 trillion.
You understand? Instant money and getting the support of the Senate. That look, INEC, don't joke with INEC, whatever they need, give to them. But the EFCC too, for them to effectively do well, even the ICPC, for them to function very well, to function the way we want them to function. Their money should be released also. 50% of what they required is what you are releasing to them. How would they be effective?
Okay, let me come in there. The reason why you cannot really, why EFCC and the INEC is a bit different is because INEC is not generating revenue.
Is EFCC generating revenue?
Of course.
How?
When arrests have been made, plea bargains, a man who stole 500 billion.
But that does not make EFCC a money generating institution.
Yes, I agree.
They recover. What they do is they recover
but
money.
It is generating revenue.
That is not generation. That is recovery.
Well, whatever language you are going to use.
You understand?
Generating recovery.
Someone is accused of embezzling money. They get him or her. They now at the end of the day recover some money. Does not mean that they are generating
let me
money.
tell you how some of these organizations operate.
Yes.
Do you know there's some particular amount of money of financial crime that you cannot take to EFCC? Because the cost of investigation, it is not cheap to investigate that matter. So by the two plus and minus, it's not worth it. They throw it away.
It's because of lack of funding. The government, when government funds them, even though it's 1 million, for instance, are you saying that if somebody defraud me of 1 million naira,
you can't take it to EFCC?
Why? This is a craft. So why shouldn't I take it to the EFCC?
Okay, let me tell you something.
Yes.
You see, there's something some of us don't understand when it comes to governance. There are roads that federal government constructs that is of high economic value. And there are roads that has no serious economic values. There are institutions that are of serious economic value to government. That is why you see their buildings very big. The standard is high. No government will invest over 500 billion, whatever, to build a very high structure like that when that organization is not. See, there is a business angle of governance, OJ.
I understand all
So now when you go to EFCC, whether you call it recovery, they recover trillions annually.
So the
last time I went,
but that does not make them a generating agency.
There's a department called
CGTI,
CGTI 2, CGTI 1 and 2. EFCC. I went there and I sat and I saw small boys in possession of multi-millions of naira in their account. The Yahoo boys. These monies are being recovered and returned back to the coffers of government. I'm telling you, you go to where they park their cars from former governors, you see expensive cars.
Yes. So that is
so they recovered money, like you said, they recovered trillions. So that is why sometimes you see INEC does not recover any money.
Okay, so they don't recover any money. So
and INEC is very crucial to any government because INEC determines your ability to stay or to get into power. So you can see why politicians will allegedly would rather prefer to take INEC more seriously because INEC is their more or less allegedly quote unquote their baby. Without INEC, you can't be a governor.
Okay, so but for EFCC, they will
come and try us. It would make concern.
Okay.
So I didn't say. I'm just saying allegedly.
So that is why INEC is getting the attention.
You empower somebody 100% to come and pick you at the end of the day.
But of course, for us to have that investor,
it's a question.
Yeah, investor confidence and make our society free of corruption and all that. Institutions like the ICPC, like the EFCC, should also be looked into. Let their budget be released as at when due.
100%.
100% for
Get
them, for them to work very, very well. For Nigeria to work.
To come and arrest me after I'm done with my office?
If you stole something, of course, you should be arrested. You should go and answer some questions there. You wear your suit and go answer some questions. So we a situation where only 50% of their budget are released and all that, they will not work effectively. And that is where, they will now recover money, and then the allegation of some of the officers being compromised comes up, and all, you understand. So
that's another point.
Yes.
When you don't fund a organization, no matter how highly placed organization is, it gives room for compromise. It's a case study of the Nigerian police. If I were to be the president of Nigeria today, Kenneth Chidi, first thing one of the things I'm going to tackle is the police. I'm going to make sure they are well funded, well kitted, well taken care of. What stops us from building?
And that is why the Nigerian police will never forget the late president Muhammadu Buhari, because in his regime he actually tried for the
Nigerian police. I told the policeman, why they say bail is free? Why you? He said,
let's leave that for another day.
He said, I go take put fuel for the generator.
That is leave that for another day, Chidi. All right, Chidi, we just have to go now. Thank you very much for being part of the show this morning.
Thank you very much, OJ.
All right, now thank you so much for watching, and we hope that you really enjoyed the show this morning, the P&B morning show. We'll definitely be right back tomorrow morning. So before we go, I want to appreciate the boys behind the camera, pressing the necessary button. And this morning we have Innocent doing the necessary job for us this one. So I want to thank him for that, and everyone who, of course, are involved in this production of the morning show. So let's do it again tomorrow. I'm Omiki Joseph Matthew, and he's Chidi Kenneth. God bless you. Bye-bye.